Hello, I'm Guillermo Rios, and together we will unveil some of the mysteries surrounding the profound and beautiful music of the flamenco guitar. Flamenco is the unique combination of at least 5 distinct cultures, whose music is highly sophisticated and deeply rooted in tradition and spirituality. However, this rich history in no way makes flamenco a dusty collector's item to be seen in museums. It's on the contrary, a vibrant and evolving musical phenomenon of today. In this course, we will learn how to relax and use our natural reflexes to play the music and develop a technique which will be reliable and complete under all circumstances. Nervousness is a natural part of being a performer, and our objective will be controlling that nervousness and being able to relax at will, regardless of the situation. At the end of each session, I suggest a time to study the technique that we're talking about. Some of you may need more time, some less, but the determining factor will be the progress that you make in your mastery of that technique. Take your time, go slowly over the lessons, listen and observe what is said, and then in your own practice time, adapt it to your own needs and desires. As we go forward, you'll become more accustomed to my style, and you'll become more fluid and more natural as we go along. Finally, it's really important to acknowledge that your contribution to this music is a very important and inspirational thing to all of us guitarists. Again, take your time, devote yourself to study, and your enthusiasm will reap you great rewards and bring out the rich musical soul that is inside of you. Flamenco, the unique, emotional, and sophisticated music of Spain, is the result of centuries of diverse musical traditions rolled into one. Arabic, East Indian, Jewish, and Western classical music are its ancient roots, but flamenco has a dramatically distinct character, ever-changing and adapting to the times. The flamenco guitar as played today has a relatively short history. In the 1880s, Antonio Torres designed and built the guitar in today's recognizable shape and string length, and this was to increase its volume and improve its tuning characteristics. The early flamenco guitars were accompanist for the singers and later for the dancers, and consequently, as in Middle Eastern music, the vocal melodic tradition is the root of all instrumentation. The advent of flamenco guitar virtuosity began with Ramon Montoya and was continued and developed to previously unheard of heights by Nino Ricardo, Sabicas, Mario Escudero, Esteban de Sanlúcar, and others. These great men had 3 things in common: a deep love for flamenco, the creative energy to invent new techniques and music, and the discipline to perfect these things. Over their extraordinary careers, they fashioned the technical and musical standards to which we, the professionals of today, are greatly indebted. Much as Bach and Beethoven and other great composers laid the many-layered foundations of Western classical music, so these men did with the flamenco guitar. In the late 1960s, a new school of flamenco began to emerge from these traditions, again by the entrance of a few extraordinary artists: Paco de Lucia, Victor Monge Serranito, Manolo Sanlúcar, and Juan Maya Maroto. Then in their early 20s, They were the next generation of pioneers, bursting with new ideas and yet mindful and respectful of the traditions established by their forerunners. A vigorous and talented supporting cast of contemporaries were the professional guitarists performing in the nightclubs and with the touring dance companies throughout the world. They gave these revolutionary ideas an unstoppable momentum and were an electrifying attraction to all who heard them. The resulting evolution of the flamenco guitar over the last 25 years has been astonishing and so far-reaching that it has attracted the attention of the entire world, audiences and guitarists alike. World awareness of the flamenco guitar is higher now than ever in its history, for reasons we won't explore deeply here. But quite simply, Paco de Lucia's extraordinary music and his equally extraordinary versatility brought flamenco to the ears of jazz and other acoustic guitar aficionados worldwide. Performing with Al Di Meola, John McLaughlin, Steve Morris, Chick Corea, and others, Paco integrated his hauntingly powerful flamenco with these styles. He influenced their music and they influenced his. Suddenly Paco and flamenco music were filling the ears of mainstream music consumers for the first time ever, and they loved it. Paco's adaptation of other musical styles to flamenco has enriched and broadened our music as never before. Along with his contemporaries, new imaginative talents are gaining the recognition they deserve. Pepe Abishuela, Rafael Riquelme, Vicente Amigo, Gerardo Núñez, and Tomatito continue to venture where none have gone before. I, Guillermo Rios, and the other world-class flamenco guitarists of today likewise contribute our originality and energy to this profound and exciting music. Sit in a simple armless chair without your guitar, your hands comfortable, and just relax your whole body. Take 5 deep breaths to the count of 10 and exhale the same way. And slow down your thought process and your inner conversations. Accept your intention to relax your entire body. Take plenty of time to do this. You'll get used to it. And take 3 minutes to do this exercise. After you've completed it, pick up your guitar and hold it in the correct position as you'll see me holding mine right now. Your hands are just hanging there. Both they appear and feel to be weightless. Your thumb of your left hand is in the middle of the neck. Your fingers are curved and over the strings, completely relaxed. The right hand is not touching the face of the guitar. It's just here, kind of hanging. You'll notice I bend my wrist a little this way so that my fingers will come straight across those strings. Now what we're going to start with is a A minor scale 2-octave A minor scale. And what I want you to do first is to play this scale for 5 minutes without stopping. Everyone will have a different speed, but for the sake of our study today, we're going to go at this speed. Now you'll notice I was alternating the fingers in my right hand. This is an appropriate time to name those fingers. I is index, M is middle, A is ring finger, P is thumb. On the left hand, it's simply 1 is index, 2 is middle, 3 is ring, and 4 is your little finger. So when you hear me calling names P, M, I, 1, 2, 3, 4, those are going to refer to the fingers. Now, I'm going to show again how I'm doing this. Notice I'm starting with my M finger, or middle finger, on the scale. Now, you only use enough pressure on your fingers to execute a clean note. You don't have to muscle the strings. You don't have to fight it. Really relax your wrists and your fingers. If you feel tension, back off, relax, play slower, and try it again and again and again. Let me give you a demonstration one more time. This one telling you what not to do. Don't do that. Relax. Enjoy yourself. The guitar is a beautiful instrument, so you have to caress it and play. Feel the relaxation that you developed from sitting in the chair. Continue on with that feeling of relaxation throughout your body. Remember, relaxation is the thing. It's crucial. Feel it in your shoulders, your arms, your wrists, your hands, and finally your fingers. Let's take a look at the left hand. Fingers should be curled and over the strings. The thumb simply making contact in the back of the guitar neck. If you're like this, you're going to be out of position. If you're like this, you're also out of position. Right in the middle. Thumb should be like a guide. Occasionally you will have to squeeze hard to execute a difficult chord. But this generally is the proper position. Relaxed. The right hand, about halfway between the sound hole and the bridge, is the correct place. You'll be moving it to create different sound colors as we go along. But for the sake of today's work, let's put it right here. You'll notice my thumb just resting on the 6th string. My fingers are making contact with the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd strings. And it's as though my hand was weightless. It's just there, coming across, straight across the strings. I'm not turned like this, or touching the face, any of those things. I'm what they call right in position, completely relaxed. Now, we were working with the A minor scale in the last session. Let's take a look at this scale, but now what we're going to do is we're going to accent, meaning that we make one of the notes stronger than the others in a specific pattern. The first pattern is 1, 2, 1, 2. So the first note is strong, the second one is less strong. Here's my example. Exaggerating the strong accents so you'll hear it. Now, the next one is 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, I alternate these fingers. I never repeat them. I want you to do this for approximately 3 minutes. 1 minute per pattern. This way your hand will get used to it. And remember to be absolutely clear with your accent. Go as slowly as you need to go. Now, the next step towards relaxing your right hand is very similar to what we've been doing, except we're only going to work with open strings, meaning they're not fretted. Now, in your right hand, let's take a look here. At the second string, I want you to simply go alternating M and I, exactly as I'm doing here. Okay, I'm doing a rest stroke, which means that I make the stroke, and my finger comes to rest on the string behind it. And same with the middle finger. Each finger comes to rest for a moment on the string behind it. However, again, I'm not using a lot of muscle. I'm simply making the note clean and making it ring. Now, be careful not to go. Just make it go nice and smoothly and cleanly. Now, what I want you to do here is just start making these notes. Like that. And then speed up. Speed up as fast as you can and still maintain control. If you feel any pain or tension or somehow a lack of control in your fingers, slow down, but don't stop. Just keep it going as long as you possibly can. Ideally, I'd have you practice this for 6 minutes without stopping. Here's an example. Now go to the next string up. And so forth. Do this on all the strings. Now, like I say, I recommend that you do it for 6 minutes per practice time. Really relax your shoulder. You're going to feel tension in your arm and your wrist and your fingers and everything when you try to speed up. Don't worry about that. Slow the speed down. Try to make yourself relax. Now, what I want you to do now is take the finger combinations that we have, i.e. A and I, these two, M and I, and then M and A, and execute exactly the same things that we started at the beginning of this session. The A minor scale, you'll notice I was using A and M to do that scale. Start with different fingers and then work up to doing the accent patterns. When you've done all the accent patterns with a specific combination of your right hand, move on to the next combination. Let's move to I, index, and A, ring, and do the same thing. Let's do the accents. First one will be 1, 2, 1, 2, with the same combination of right hand fingers. Do all the combinations of accent patterns with all the combinations of the right hand fingering. And this way, you'll not only get stronger, but you'll know where you are. Your hand will have to relax to execute this. If you have a problem with it, slow down. Use less force in your right hand, and you'll find that everything will fall together. So I want you to take 15 minutes to do that. Remember, keep your left hand relaxed. Just press hard enough to make the notes. And on the right hand, just make those strokes soft enough to be relaxed and hard enough to make a good sound. Before proceeding with our session about relaxing the wrist and thumb, I'd like to explain a little bit about the tone that you've heard thus far. Sometimes you're going to hear notes buzzing as I demonstrate how to play the picado scales. Generally that's because I'm accenting hard, so you'll hear the accent. However, in flamenco music, an occasional buzz is perfectly acceptable as long as it doesn't interfere with the overall sound of the note. So off and on throughout these sessions you will hear buzzing. Don't let it worry you. The main thing is the execution and the movement in a relaxed manner. There'll be lots of time to clean things up. Now we're going to get on to relaxing our wrists and our thumb. First of all, the same as before, we're going to hold our hands in a totally relaxed manner. And we're going to discuss this time a technique known as alzapua, which is a Spanish word with an Arabic origin, which simply means using a pick-like technique with your thumb. Now, here's what it goes. We're going to make an E major chord. We're going to place our thumb on the 5th string. Now watch carefully my right hand as I make this movement. You play the note. Your thumb comes to rest on the 4th string, and then you make a brushing movement down. Then one up, coming up. And then the note again. So it sounds like this. You'll notice my fingers are not touching the face of the guitar. My wrist is just naturally there, my thumb very relaxed, right on the 5th string. Now watch this movement again. You'll notice that after I make the note, my thumb remains placed on the 4th string, and that's where it leaves from. In other words, we're doing 1, 2, 3, 4. We do 4 movements, which actually merge into 3. We go 1, down, up, and then we're repeating again. So you can think of it as either 3 or 4. It really makes no difference. But the main thing is that the thumb's task always remains the same. If you skip over strings and try to repeat, you can't do the technique. So completely relax your right hand here again. Hold the E major chord in a very tranquil way, not squeezing hard, just holding the chord. Now, follow along with me. I'll do it very slowly. This will take some time. You're going to have to get used to the whole feeling of moving your thumb playing a note and then a brush stroke. A note, a brush stroke. What it should not sound like is this. It's not that. It's a brush stroke, a very quick motion from your wrist. The thumb does not move around like this. It's from your wrist. And your arms should be relaxed all the way up to your shoulders. Your hand's kind of moving like this. And it's very, very loose, and it has a weightless feeling to it. Now, to continue on with this, I want you to play the E chord like we have. And now, starting on the 6th string, we're going to do exactly the same thing. Now on the 5th string. Now on the 4th string. Now on the 3rd string. Now, the study that I want you to do is to go 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, back down, using this technique. I'll give you an example. Now, you have to remain calm and don't worry about making mistakes. They're part of the whole ball game here. So just go slowly increasing the speed. If you feel tension building up, slow the speed down. But don't stop. Continue the motion, continue making it. Try to increase your speed, then try to back off. Feel the weightlessness in your hand. Let your left hand relax. Now let's try it together. I realize I'm going faster than some of you may be able to go. Don't worry about that. Go as fast as you can, and then when you lose control, just slow down. Now the next step in this exercise is to put 2 notes here from the beginning. Exactly the same motion, except you're putting 2 notes instead of 1. I'm going to give you examples of a little bit of the speed that you can acquire from this technique. The first one being 1 note. Now with 2 notes. Okay? Now don't worry about trying to acquire that speed right away. Simply go about it in a relaxed and calm fashion. Work on this for at least 10 minutes every day, and you'll find great satisfaction in not only acquiring the technique itself of Alsapua, but also relaxing your arms, your wrist, and your hand. You just saw me playing this technique of the previous session, Alsapua, in a flamenco piece called Tangos. It's a 4/4 time piece. However, the way we applied the Alsapua technique probably confused you a little bit. But let's back up and execute it first before we understand the rhythm. As in the previous session, we have to relax both hands. Now here in the left hand, you're going to be doing a few things you may not have done before. We're using this B flat chord. We're going to a kind of a C7th chord, back to the B flat chord, and back to an A major chord, adding a B flat to it occasionally. Now, we're making this chord by covering the 4th and 3rd string at the 2nd fret with our index finger, or finger number 1, bent over like a caterpillar there, you'll see. Then the 2nd finger comes in behind on the 2nd string and plays the C sharp, so you get an A major chord. Playing it like that frees a finger from this normal position, so we have 2 fingers free to play other things while we play that chord. Now, when we're doing this particular variation, our 3 and 4 fingers of the left hand are on the 3rd fret of the 3rd and 2nd string respectively, and they remain there while we're doing things over here with 1 and 2. Now, the right hand is doing Alsapua. I'm going to slow this down to super slow motion so you can hear and see exactly what's going on with this. just did half of the variation because I want you to understand how it's going here. There's a lot of things going on. You're playing a melody while you execute the Al Sapua technique. So let's try it again. Now let's take a look at exactly what's going on with the right hand. As you may remember before, when we make the note, our thumb comes to rest on the string right behind, and then we do the brush stroke. So we're going like that. However, on this case, we start with a brush stroke, and then we resume the pattern that we already know. Watch carefully. I start, and then I play 2 notes in a row. As we did in the previous session, we learned how to play the brush stroke and then 2 notes, or 1 note. Now, you're going to have to follow this melody absolutely precisely in order to understand how many times you play 2 notes, how many times you play 1. This is the tricky part. Now, my thumb is right on the 4th string, and that's the next note of the melody. So let's just continue on with the melody. Now my thumb again is on the 4th string, and it also happens to be the continuation of the melody. So let's finish. Okay? Now the complete variation repeats the pattern that we started at the beginning here, with one exception. So I'm going to play the whole variation very slowly, and then I'm going to play just the continuation of it. Okay, so what you're going to have to do is sing along with the melody so you have this in your head. And at the same time, imitate what I'm doing on both hands. This is a big step. It's quite a challenge. Work on it for at least 10 minutes a day. You'll find that little by little, you'll grow to understand the pattern, and you'll be able to execute not only the Al Sapua technique, but a beautiful variation in tangos flamencos. Speed. Speed is something we all love. Sports cars, speeding bullets, and speeding scales on the flamenco guitar. And yet, speed is often an abused quality in music, and it can kill the feeling of this incredible music. So right now we're going to work on playing using speed, but without tension in your body or your hands. Usually it's the tension that creates the abuse of speed, or in other words, playing out of time. We're going to start very simply. We're going to start on open strings. Let's go back to where we were and in the beginning sessions where we simply used I and M on the 2nd string going like this, using rest strokes. However, this time what we're going to do is establish a tempo, which I will establish, and then we're going to put first 1 note per beat, then 2, then 3, and then 4. Watch carefully the way I do this. You can actually synchronize yourself with my tempo and then imitate exactly what I do. I'll repeat again that relaxation of your arms, wrists, hands, and fingers is very important in order to acquire the speed. Your natural reflexes will take care of it perfectly if you will allow them. So let's get started. Here's the tempo. Okay, there's your tempo. Now we're going to put 2 notes per beat. I'll play the original tempo first, then I'll put the 2 notes per beat. Now I'm going to play the tempo and put 3 notes per beat. Now the tempo with 4 notes per beat. I want you to imitate me exactly in this exercise. And then, on your own time, do this, alternating from the tempo to the number of beats that you want, and accenting carefully, so that actually your accent is the one that maintains the tempo. Use your ears carefully on this one. You can even use your feet to mark the tempo, but let's, for the sake of today's study, simply use our ear. Listen carefully, be absolutely precise, and when you're making that accent, don't muscle the string, just increase the volume of the note. So let's do it one more time now. We're going to take first the tempo, then I'm going to switch from one note per beat to 2 notes, to 3 notes, to 4 notes. What I also want you to do in this exercise is use the different combinations of fingering in your right hand. First I and M, then I and A, and then M and A. Okay? Now here's what we're going to do first. We're going to start with the tempo. We're going to change the notes per beat without stopping in the middle. We'll go from 1 note per beat to 4, then 3. That is 1 note per beat, 2 notes per beat, 3 notes per beat, 4 notes per beat, then 3 notes, 2 notes, and back to 1. And this is the way I want you to study it, using the different finger combinations. Here we go. Now the same tempo with I and A. Now, do it on all the strings using these combinations and being very careful not to change the tempo. And remember, relax and enjoy yourself. Spend at least 8 minutes per session on this exercise. In this session, we'll be talking about accents and tempo, both crucial to playing the music correctly and with proper control of our emotions. Accent meaning where we are maintaining the tempo, and the tempo itself is the speed that we're playing at. Now, we're going to use an E major scale, 2 octaves in length, and then with this scale we're going to study different accents, and then we're going to apply a tempo to them. Let's take a look. We'll start our tempo very slowly on the E major scale. Now, 2 notes a beat. Three notes a beat. Four notes a beat. Now, what we have to do is to be able to control the speed at the tempo we have selected. Sometimes we can lose control easily. We think that we can play at a certain tempo, and when we get into the act of playing at that tempo, things get out of control. So this is what we're going to be working on in this session. Now, if we start this scale very, very, very slowly, you'll get the idea. Let's have our tempo like this. Now, 2 notes a beat. See, it's still quite slow, but we're already doing 2 notes a beat. Let's try 3 notes a beat. Four notes a beat. See, that's more easily controlled. So what I would like you to do is pick a tempo. I'm going to assign you a tempo, but you may want to adapt to your own needs and limitations at this point. Let's just say the tempo is very slow like this. Now, practice finding out how many notes per beat you can execute before you get stuck in the middle of a passage. This is how you do that. On one string, like the low E string, first establish the tempo. Now, double it, triple it, quadruple. Now, if you don't think you can execute the passage at that speed, you're going to have to reduce your tempo. And this is what we're talking about. So let's say we're going to first do it very slowly, and we'll execute the passage. Then we'll increase the tempo and see if we can still execute it. Here's your tempo. Now, 2 notes a beat. Three notes a beat. Four notes a beat. If that's too fast for you, slow it down. But remember, the accents are what are keeping you on the tempo. If you lose track of your accents, essentially you've lost track of your tempo. So these two are constantly working together, and it's very important to tune your ears, coordinate that with your hands, and relax and really listen to it. In this session, we're going to talk about strength and endurance in both of our hands. It's critical to relaxation to have strength and endurance. Your hands begin to get tired, or your body. There's a natural tendency to tighten things up, tense up, and then a lot of times the music suffers. I'm going to show you a study today which will really develop your strength and endurance as well as your precision in both hands. Starting on the F of the sixth string, we're going to follow a pattern which will be consistent throughout the study. However, the fingering will change, so observe closely. On the right hand, the fingering will always remain the same. Now, this exercise will take us right up the neck and back down again, following exactly the same pattern, each time moved up half a step or down depending on where we are. But the fingering will change. So I'm going to go now half a step higher and show you the fingering, how it will be throughout the exercise except at the beginning and at the end. Starting now with our second finger on the F sharp of the sixth string, we leave our index in place on the B flat of the fifth because it's going to be moving along here, covering all those strings, so there will be no open string notes. Now slide up and continue. Now up to the, move all the way up to the 10th fret with your second finger and repeat the pattern. Now back down, half a step. Now that you know the fingering, use the different right hand combinations, I-M, I-A, and M-A. Go through them. Then go back to the beginning of the exercise and let's apply accents. For example, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. accent patterns as you go up and down the neck. Interchange them, vary the tempo, give yourself a real workout. Now, I'd like to mention at this point that you can use a metronome to control your tempo. Set your metronome slowly and simply do what we've already done with these sessions. 1 note per beat, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Some people will prefer to use the metronome as that way it will control their tempo. It's a wonderful tool, so if you choose to use it, by all means do so. Also, I would like you to practice sessions 6 and 7 together, working on accents first and then into this exercise for a total of 30 minutes per practice period. Good luck with this. This is a wonderful exercise and will make you take great strides forward. In flamenco, we use a 12-beat measure, and it's used in about half of the flamenco songs. We use the word compás, which simply means rhythm, but when applied to flamenco, it applies to the rhythmic structure of the song that we're playing. As I've said, in many of the flamenco songs, the measure is 12 beats in length. I'm going to explain this more graphically just with my right hand on the guitar. We have a measure that has 12 beats. You can kind of visualize this. And on certain numbers of those beats, an accent falls. And the overall, after you've completed 12 beats, an accent pattern has been created. So, without further talk, let's get right into the 12-beat compás. I'm going to start counting the 12-beat compás on the number 12. Simply because over the years it's been traditionally done that way, and it seems to make quite a bit of sense to most students. So, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, you'll notice I did a tap on the guitar on certain numbers. Those numbers are 12, 3, 6, 8, and 10. So I'm going to do the pattern without counting. I want you to hear the pattern, count along with it, or don't count. I prefer that you learn the pattern and have it engraved on your brain as soon as possible. So I'll do it without counting first. Okay, now, this pattern, you can practice it in your car. You can practice it at home watching TV. You can practice it when you're standing around talking to someone. You may drive them crazy, but continue to practice it. Now, there are two ways I want you to practice this. The way we just did it, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and so forth. Repeat that millions of times. Now, the next way I want you to practice it is to change the accent pattern slightly. Nothing changes, only the accent pattern. So you start with 12 like always, and then 7 and 8 are strong. So you go 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The reason for those two different patterns is simply that, fundamentally speaking, the 12-beat bar has the accents in it that I told you the first time around. However, the second pattern I just did is the one that you will hear on different recordings where they're playing percussion to the 12-beat bar. So that's what you'll hear more often. And actually, that's what we hear as guitarists when we're actually playing the music. The other one, however, is still going on, so don't forget it or ignore practicing it. You have to practice both of them. So I'm going to do first one and then the other. I'm going to do the first pattern and then the second pattern. See if you can hear the difference. Count along with me. I'm not going to count. Now, when you have your guitar, hold it just like I'm holding mine. Dampen the strings with your left hand, and with your right hand, your index finger is just going up and down. The down stroke of your index finger is the on beat, and the up stroke is the off beat. So, let me explain that further. 1 and 2 and 3, like that. So, we're going to start on 12, and we're going to put a tap, or a golpe in Spanish, on the accent. So, 12, you start with a golpe. 12 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, 8 and 9 and 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, 8 and 9 and 10, 11, 12. So you can see that the up stroke of your index is the upbeat. The downstroke is the downbeat, and on the accents I do a combination of a downstroke with my index and a golpe, or a tap, with A of my right hand. Now the golpe, it's very light. You're not trying to make a hole in the top of your guitar or be projecting a percussive sound. It's just an accent. So you use partially the flesh of the finger and partially the nail. This is an acquired technique. You have to practice going like this on your guitar until you can actually get the sound that you want. Then to control it, I recommend resting your thumb very lightly on the 6th string, using it as a pivot, and just starting. Now, as I said before, practice this compás any place you can. Tapping your foot, clapping your hands, anything. If you have doubts about where you are, refer back to this session. You can't practice this enough, for it is half of the bones of this music. You really have to be comfortable with this. Once you're totally relaxed, your natural reflexes and your innate sense of time will take over, and you'll be able to play this correctly whenever you play your guitar. That was Alegría using the 12-beat compás we've been working on. Now you'll see that I did some different strums with my right hand. However, the rhythmic accent doesn't change. It's just that we're creating a different feel to it. I maintain an even tempo, and when I played that scale passage, I observed the tempo that I had started. So let's go back to what I was doing when I first started playing, doing these what they call rasgueados, which we will learn about later on in this course. However, in Alegría, I start on the 1 of the 12-beat compás as opposed to the 12 the way we were beginning in the session before. So I started 1, 2, 3. I did a continuous strum for 3 beats. Then I began the accent pattern. So I'm going to play a few bars of this accent rhythm for you, and when you are studying, I want you to play along with me. So here we go. Now what I'm doing is the first 3 beats a continuous strum, and the rest of the accent pattern remains the same. Now, see, I'm going to count along this time so you can synchronize with me. I'll count for 1 measure, and then you pick it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, now, remember, one of the objectives is to relax and be able to feel things as they are and use our natural reflexes to be able to execute things perfectly. So use your ears when you're working on this rhythm. Use your body. Let the rhythm flow through your body. Relax your back, your shoulders, your arms, everything. And you'll begin to feel things a lot more clearly. If you do begin to tighten up, slow down, relax, open up your ears, and do it again. Now, I'm going to play a little bit of Alegria so that you'll get the idea again. But before I start playing it, I want you to practice what we were just doing in this session for 15 minutes every single day, or every single practice period. Alegria de Cádiz. I'm now going to play for you a composition of mine called Zapateado Elegante. This piece is in 2/4 time. It involves the use of arpeggios and piccados and a lot of movement in both the left and right hands. It's a difficult piece, but don't worry about that. Do what you can with the piece, study it, and soon you'll be able to add it to your repertoire. Now I'm going to play it quite slowly first, and then I'm going to play it at the tempo I prefer. Observe how my hands are moving and try to model yourself after that. So here we go, Zapateado Elegante. Now, I'm going to pick up the tempo a little bit. You'll notice the tempo won't change much, but the music will be a little more exciting. See if you can keep up. One of the most beautiful effects on the flamenco guitar is the use of the tremolo. This is basically an arpeggio on one string, and there are a variety of ways of doing this. The way I do it is to use, which I'll show you now, to put an E major chord. I use P, thumb, then I, M, A, M, I. So there are 5 distinct motions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, there are 6 distinct motions, excuse me. So, okay. Now, here's the way it sounds playing an E major chord. Now, you control the sound and the speed of it by controlling the bass line. So let's say we play the bass line faster. Obviously, if we can't control our bass line, we can't get an even sound out of the treble line. So controlling the bass line is crucial. When you're practicing this, go slowly. Hear every finger. Really relax your hand so that it's completely loose, almost like, think of spaghetti in your fingers. Now, very carefully, using free strokes, not rest strokes, execute the exercise. I want you to practice this 15 or 20 minutes every single day. Vary the chords. Try any chord you like. Now I'm going to play a tremolo passage. Now, practice on the E major chord, practice on using the tremolo or the fingers on the top string, like that, then go to the second string, and the third string, and so forth. Practice on the inside strings. Like that, slowly build your speed, and you will achieve this incredibly beautiful effect and add it to your music. I mentioned in the previous session that controlling the bass line of the tremolo was the key to controlling the tempo and the smoothness of it. I'm just going to expand a little bit on that conversation because it's crucial that the tremolo sound clear, clean, bell-like. And in order to achieve that, you have to control the bass line. At the same time, you can retard the bass line from the tempo and create a beautiful shimmering effect. Let me demonstrate this for you on the exact passage that I played before. since I am playing the bass in time, but sometimes I retard the bass line. I play it a little slower, and there's a slight pause between the action of the fingers and that of the thumb. That gives you that effect of shimmering. Let's just give it a try on that E major chord. I'll play the bass line right in time first, and then I'll use the effect. You can vary your dynamics, you can vary the flow of it, you can really create colors using exactly the same technique. This takes practice, again, but experiment around with it. Let your hand completely relax and breathe with the music. You will find that this will make such a difference in your expression as you start putting the tremolo effect into your compositions. In this session, we begin talking about the flamenco strums, or rasgueados. One of the greatest rasgueados ever invented was invented by my teacher, my maestro, and my dear friend, Juan Maya Marote, one of the great guitarists of all time in history. Juan invented this strum, and it has such strength, such control, and such a beautiful sound that probably 3/4 of today's professional guitarists use it. Now, it involves a completely different way of using your hands. Now, we are using the wrist and the elbow, and your fingers are actually just going by. Let me make that a little bit more clear. Let me explain exactly how it goes first. You come up with your thumb, down with your fingers, that is M and A, and down with your thumb. So, I repeat. Up with your thumb, down with M and A held together, and down with your thumb. So, up, down, down. It sounds like this. 1, 2, 3. Now, I'll just play it up to speed so you get an idea of what it sounds like. Now, you're using all the strong parts of your hand. The wrist, very strong, your arm, but a completely relaxed motion. The motion is like this. Your fingers are not extended, so there's no pushing and pulling. It's just an absolutely relaxed motion. It takes a lot of practice. Let me explain to you how to practice this thing. First, you hang your hand there just naturally, like we have been doing all along. No tension. Come up with your thumb. Down with the fingers. Down with the thumb. And repeat. Your thumb is in position to continue the stroke. So this is the key to it. Wherever you finish, you begin to recycle. There are only 3 distinct movements. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Just like that. Now, if you'll notice, what's actually going on in this strum is that the thumb is stroking the strings like this. And in between those strokes falls M and A as though they were a thumb too. Just one entity, even though there are 2 fingers involved. So they're brushing the strings like this in between. So what you have is this. I encourage you to hold the strings with your left hand as you practice this. If you're married, you soon won't be. If you have a girlfriend, she'll leave. You have to practice this all the time to get it. And I think it's best to keep the volume down. So, that's what it wants to sound like when you're dampening the strings. A very clean, percussive sound. Go slowly at first. Relax and try to build speed. When you get to the galloping sort of effect, you know you're getting close. Now just make it continuous. The more you relax, the more speed will come. So this is the sound. Practice at least 15 minutes a day and any more that you have time for. It's a wonderful rasgueado. This rasgueado is one of my own inventions. It involves 5 distinct movements on the fingers of the right hand. The sequence is as follows. A, M, I going down. Now, A, M coming back, up. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and repeat. Now, the bones of this rasgueado are A and M. They go down, down, up, up. If you can practice that and get that movement going down, down, up, up into a sequence, let me show you. I'm not using my index finger at all here. Now the index finger, I put it in there and it adds strength and an accent. But the secret is to be able to do this. So it's A down, M down, A up, M up. Then you go back to the original sequence, you'll have great strength and fluidity in this. Now, practice it slowly. You have to be extremely light. You can't dig into the strings because it's too hard on your hand and you won't get the flow. Very, very light on the surface. This requires more study probably than any of the other rasgueados I'm going to show you to get it perfect. But it's well worth the time. You'll have to spend at least 15 minutes a day on this. But it will come slowly. You can do it on the seat of your car when you're driving, any place. And you'll get used to the motion. So remember, A, M, I, A, M, and repeat. I love this rasgueado, so I hope you can learn it and enjoy it too. In this session, we're going to talk about the rasgueado invented by Pepe Labichuela, a dear friend and colleague of mine. We've enjoyed each other's music for many years. I really admire him. And this rasgueado of his is crisp and neat, brings out the ringing tones of the chords. It's a simple thing to do, or that is, understand. It will be simple to do once you get the hang of it. So, we start with M, and then M going down again, and then I going down. There are 3 movements. Up with M, down with M, and down with I. Now, you have to rest your thumb very lightly on the 6th string, and your accent is in the first upstroke of the strum. So, even though the last 2 sound stronger, the accent is in the first one. That gives you the proper balance in the execution. Now, one of the beauties of this particular rasgueado is that you can play it slowly and it sounds really beautiful, or fast. First I'm going to play it for you slowly. Now I'm going to play it fast. It's really effective, either slow or fast. Now, the secret is to put this into the music and use its effect to your best advantage. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play some tangos, and I'm going to use the rasgueado from the session before, plus this one. See if you can pick out which one I'm using. You've gotten a pretty good education up to this point, and I want to challenge you to listen up for them and watch for them so that you can incorporate them into your music. So first, a little bit of tangos. Now I'm going to demonstrate the use of the different rasgueados we have learned, playing a piece called Seguidilla. That was Seguidilla. And finally, I want to demonstrate a little bit of Bulería, which uses the 12-beat compás we studied before. However, I'm going to mix up a variety of these rasgueados. See if you can recognize them, and also see if you can keep the beat. One of the most challenging techniques ever conceived on the guitar, in my opinion, is the three-finger picado. This involves A, M, and I in that sequence playing all scale passages that are played with a rest stroke. It actually is, logically speaking, a more efficient way to use your hand simply because you don't have to go so fast. There's an extra finger involved in playing the picado passages. However, things become very complicated when you add another finger. The study of the three-finger picado is so rewarding that I include it in these sessions because I want you to get started on it. It's really going to improve your arpeggio, your tremolo, and your two-fingered picado, as well as your rasgueados. So let me explain how it goes. Again, the sequence is A, M, I. I'm going to take what we used in the very beginning of this course, the A minor scale, and I'm going to play it using the three-finger picado starting with A. Now, apply all the studies and principles we have used in the study of the picado using the three-finger picado. For example, you keeping the tempo, now doubling the tempo, tripling, and quadrupling. The same things. You're going to notice it feels very different because now you're using three fingers to do the job you were using two to do it with. So it's going to be difficult. Hang in there. Now I'm going to show you this scale here. That's just a chromatic scale. You practice that about 5 minutes a day, you'll really notice a big change in your hands. Also refer back to session 7 when I showed you an exercise for strength and endurance. Use the principles of that exercise with the three-fingered picado. Change the accents. Vary it. Use it on every scale section that you know, and you will reap a tremendous reward from this highly sophisticated and challenging technique. I'd like to thank all of you for taking this course, and I hope it's benefited you greatly. I'm going to repeat a few of the principles we've done here because I want you to really have them recorded on the folds of your brain. Relax. Enjoy the music. Have no tension in your body, and feel the pulsation of the rhythm as it's going along. Control your dynamics. Play loudly, play softly. Let the rhythm flow along as you flow along with the music. Don't fight the strings. You will never be victorious. Relax and let them work for you. And most importantly, put your heart and soul into this most incredible music. There's never been guitar music like it, and it's really the most wonderful guitar music that's ever been conceived. Viva el arte y viva España.